Hello you guys, it is me Lanice and I'm here with another video. For the last few videos I've been having to start them off with apologies. So again, I'm sorry that I have not been as consistent as I was this past year with the videos, but I am in a very big transition period in my life, so being on top of the videos is kind of hard, and I also just have so much going on in my mind that it's just been very hard to sit down and record a video. But I am here, and as you can see, the background is a lot different than what you guys are used to because I am here in Texas, and this is my grandmother's apartment. I have been staying with my grandmother because I am on my first week of my first travel nurse assignment here in Texas. I know that I always tell you guys that I'm a bad rambler. I get a lot of comments on my rambling, so I did write down what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, and I'll go ahead and get straight to it. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on my experience as a travel nurse. This contract, it started on August 30th, and today I'm recording the video on September 23rd. So I'm almost a month in to my first contract, and it is very overwhelming. I will not lie. Just to give you a little background on myself, if you're new to this video, my name is Lanice. I am a registered nurse. My license is in the state of North Carolina, and I've always practiced in the state of North Carolina, except for a very brief period where I practiced as an LPN in Oklahoma. But for the most part, I was licensed in North Carolina. I went to school in North Carolina, and I spent a large majority of my nursing experience was in North Carolina. I was an LPN for 6 years. I went back and got my RN, and I've been an RN since May of 2020. So, and since I've got my RN, I have been working in the hospital. Before that, I did a whole bunch of other odd jobs. That's another video for another day. So anyways, after being an RN, going through a nursing residency program, I decided that I wanted to travel, and I decided to take a travel contract in Texas because this is where most of my family is, and it's where my daughter has been the last 2 years while I go through nursing school, work as a COVID nurse. I just had a whole bunch going on, so my grandmother was nice enough to keep her for me while I was going through school and going through my residency. And now here I am at my grandmother's house, and I decided Texas will be the best place for me for this next year because, one, I will be able to save my money because I can stay in my grandmother's house. Two, I won't have to change my daughter's school because she has been going to school. This will be her 3rd year attending school in Texas. And children, she's 11, she's 10, she'll be 11 in December. And you know how it is with moving kids. She did not want to move. It was, I felt really bad. And I said, I will give Texas a chance. So this was a wonderful opportunity for me to come be around family, still have the support of my family, while also working and making that travel nurse money. And we will get into all of that. So sorry, my grandmother's hot water heater is not working, so we've been taking lukewarm showers, and the maintenance guy just came to look at it, so that was the loud knocking at the door that you heard. So anyways, where was I? So anyways, I'm here in Texas. Those were the reasons why I decided to come and take a travel contract in Texas. And I am working on a med-surg floor. So in North Carolina, I have worked on a pulmonary floor during my residency. And then I also worked on a cardiac floor. That's why I opted out. And that's why I worked since October of last year on a cardiac telemetry unit in North Carolina at a level 3 hospital, very small hospital. I think the hospital altogether was 248 beds. I am now working in Texas. I'm not going to disclose the area. However, I'm working at a level 1 trauma facility. I'm working at a very large hospital. I think it's 600 something beds, and it is a lot different. So I don't ramble. As a part of giving you guys an update, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of go through the things that have changed and what's different, what's going good, what's going bad about this whole travel nurse assignment. Ciao! Right now, like I said, this contract started on August the 30th. I'm almost in my first month in, and I have received 2 paychecks because I know that that's what everybody is wondering. The money is so important when it comes to travel nursing. And yes, the money is good. The first week, of course, I've only gotten 2 paychecks because I'm working in I'm gonna get my 3rd paycheck tomorrow, so I guess that makes me there for 4 weeks, because you work a week in the hole basically, with any other job. You get paid every Friday. So the first week I only worked, I believe, 13 hours because I went through an orientation. They had a travel nurse orientation day where we go in and we get signed off on the glucometers and test out an Epic. See, that's another thing. the facility that I'm working at currently uses Epic, and the facilities that I worked in the past worked at Epic, and that was a huge benefit to everything, because the people that had never used Epic, they had to go through a whole nother course, and I was able to just test out of it and not have to take that course because I have been using Epic and I'm very familiar with it. Epic is very user friendly to me. We had that orientation for a day that was like 7 hours. Then we had an online orientation that was like 4 hours. So like, I think I got like a total of 12 hours that first paycheck, but I still got my stipends. So my paycheck that first week was still $1,900. And then, you know, so a regular paycheck right now, I got a regular paycheck with just 3 days with my stipends. It was like $2,600. And this last week I picked up an extra day just because I want to see what it's like. My overtime rate is not what I would like it to be. It looked like a lot when I first took the contract, but then sitting down and talking to people, my overtime rate is actually pretty trash. And so I know that this, like I said, this is my first contract, so that's just something else that I'm learning. So I know that on my next contract they're gonna have to go up in pay in general, but and they're really gonna have to go up on my overtime rate because my overtime rate is not all that great. But yeah, so we'll see what it's like with an overtime day up there. And if it's not, you know, much of a difference, or I don't feel like it's worth working that extra night shift, then I'm not gonna pick up any more overtime shifts for the duration of this contract. And we'll talk about overtime towards the holidays when the contract renews, because this contract actually ends on November 27th. And I don't know if I'm gonna extend the contract. Like I said, I am new to this travel nurse thing, and I see that there's a lot of options out there. There are a lot of hospitals that are signing travel nurses up, so I don't know what I'll do. And one reason I don't know what I'll do is because there are a lot of differences between this hospital and the hospital that I was working at previously. But anyways, so the first thing that I would say that is different, you know, now from when I was in North Carolina, being in Texas and being a travel nurse, is the pay. The pay is awesome. I'm not going to lie about that. The pay is amazing, but I still realize that I don't feel like I'm getting paid enough. Maybe I'm being greedy. But another difference is that as a nurse, over the years, you kind of start to notice that management positions, nurse manager positions, DON positions, in long-term care, people do not stay in those positions long. So if you stay with the company for more than 3, 5, 10 years, you will see a lot of transition in management. People, it's like a hot seat. Like, people just cannot sit in that seat very long. Like, if you work somewhere, you will see that the DONs, that the nurse managers, they change a lot. It has a very high turnover rate. I would say that those managerial positions have a higher turnover rate than just bedside nursing positions. And I mean, it's a tough job, and I think people come into it thinking they can do it and thinking that the money is awesome, but being a manager, or like being in a leadership position, especially when it comes to nursing, is very hard. But I can imagine how hard it is. I've never done it. It's not for me. I like to mind my business. I don't like to be in control of anything but myself and the outcomes that I can control. I'm too controlling to be a manager, because I'll be micromanaging people and I wouldn't even probably know my own job. But anyway, so I said all that. So the thing is that my job in North Carolina, my manager had been working on that floor for over 20 years. She started as a bedside nurse on that floor, and she kind of just moved up the rank until she became a nurse manager. So when I went to my nurse manager in North Carolina, there was never a question she could not answer. She knew how to do every task on the floor. She knew the protocols pretty well. And if there was, when she came out and made her leadership round-in, she helped change people. She pulled people up in bed. She rolled people over. And she could really relate to you as a nurse because she had worked that floor. She knew that floor. She knew the ins and outs of that floor. And she had been there for a very long time. And I loved that about her. She was one of the reasons why I love working on the floor that I worked on at home. And I kind of missed it a little bit because that was something that I had never seen in all my nursing positions. I very rarely saw someone who was a nurse manager and they stayed there for years. And I like the fact that anything that she asked me to do, she could do it herself. Or she could walk me through how to do it, or she could tell me who to call, like she knew everything. On this floor, the manager has not been there very long. I think that they said she actually just got hired over the summer, like June or July. And there are things that she is not able to do, and she has not worked on the floor as a nurse, from my understanding. I might be wrong, but from what I've been told, she hasn't worked on the floor. So, you know, I'm not to discredit her at all, because she's an amazing person. She's a very nice person, but it'll be certain things like you just kind of, you know, you want to know that the person that's above you and kind of calling the shots can at least do what you do. And that's been me in any job. When I was working at Best Buy, I was the same way. When I was working at Foot Action, I was the same way. Like, I believe that anybody that's at the top, the leadership position over me, should be able to do my job. And that's just how I've always felt. So that right there is a huge difference. Just the type of relationship that I had with my manager back at home was just a very like parent-child kind of relationship, and I really like that. Another thing that is different is the acuity level of the floor that I'm currently working on. So again, like I said in the beginning of the video, I was coming from a very small community hospital in Salisbury, North Carolina. And even though I lived in Charlotte, I was driving to Salisbury every day for work, which was too long. But anyways, it was only 248 beds. It was level 3, and I worked on a cardiac floor. So everybody that came onto my floor, unless they were COVID, because it was part cardiac, part COVID. So if they were not COVID and they were not cardiac, then they wouldn't be on my floor. So I did see a lot of med surg stuff, but everything was centered around congestive heart failure. The diagnosis and stuff that I seen when I was on my cardiac floor were centered around them having some type of cardiac issue, getting a heart cath, having a stress test, stuff like that. The floor that I'm working on now is not cardiac specific. It is just a flat out med surg floor, and it is a lot of med and a little less surge. Okay, I've seen a lot of DIPOFs, which are tube, NG tubes. We did not have that at my hospital. I see a lot of rectal tubes, and at my hospital, once they got discharged from the ICU, they had to take that rectal tube out in ICU. We did not have any rectal tubes on my floor. It's just a lot of different diagnoses. Since it's just med surg, it's not just cardiac diagnoses. So I don't see a lot of ostomies and stuff like that, thank God, because y'all know how I feel about ostomies. But I do see a lot of trachs. We had like 4 trachs on the floor when I worked the night before last. And so I didn't see a lot of trachs in North Carolina. So the acuity level is a lot different, but I will not lie, I am learning a lot and I'm seeing a lot. But it is a lot different. It's a lot harder, and it's causing me to use a lot more nursing skills, and it's causing me to use a lot more nursing knowledge, because the diagnosis and stuff that I did not see a lot on my floor, but I learned in nursing school and haven't seen since nursing school, those things are coming back up. So somebody would be like, so-and-so is admitted for, I can't even give you an example right now, and I'll be like, oh, what is that? I kind of have to go and look stuff up, like, what is that? I remember hearing that word in nursing school, but I ain't seen it, so what is it? But anyway, so it's a lot of that going on. And then another thing is that the floor is also more medical than my last floor, or like, you know, it's a lot more tasks to be done. On my last floor, we were 6 to 1 nurse, 6 patients to 1 nurse, or 5 patients to 1 nurse, depending on how many nurses showed up. And on this floor, it's 5 patients to 1 nurse. And sometimes, like if you get a trach patient, they'll make sure that you only get 4 patients if you have like a really acute patient. But when I've normally had about 5 patients to myself, and the nurses are responsible for a lot more on this floor than they were on my old floor. And not responsible, you as a nurse, you always hold the responsibility of your patient. When I say responsible for more tasks is probably what I should have said, because this is the only place that I've ever worked, even in long-term care, that the CNAs were not responsible for vital signs. And I'm gonna ride this soapbox until I probably leave this contract. I don't care, because on this floor you have to get your own vital signs, because they only have 2 techs at night for like a 38-bed unit. So you have to get your own vital signs. A lot of times I have to get my own blood sugars. A lot of times I have to toilet my patients. And another difference, even though the charting system is the same, we're still using Epic. We have to chart a lot more. Like, it seems like the charting takes me forever. I used to work nights. I worked nights for years. But this last year I've been working days. I fell in love with days. So I'm trying to get used to nights. That's another difference. I'm trying to get used to nights. Nights kind of does work better with my daughter or whatever. But sitting down in front of the computer at night and having to chart all that stuff, you're like, it's really hard. When you're on it's really hard to stay awake. And when you're on that 3rd night out of 3, your daggone head starts hitting the daggone keyboard, you keep nodding off sometimes. That charting is just way too much. But that's just something else that's different. But you know, of course, taking care of patients is always the same. But the thing is that it is the same, but it seemed like when I was in North Carolina, I was such a nice nurse. I was such a nice nurse in North Carolina, and it might have been because it was day shift and I'm a daytime person. I love the sun, not a nighttime person. But I feel like my attitude is so different, and I don't know if it's because I'm just trying to get used to the culture or if, you know, it really just is too much. But it seems like a lot of the nurses that are floor nurses there are very unhappy, which it seems like it's like that everywhere. But this floor is just really different. But I'm gonna get used to it. I'm gonna do the job, and I'm gonna pray on whether or not I should extend my contract whenever it comes down to it. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to get to my coins. Another reason, like I said, I chose Texas is because I want to be able to save the money for the stipend, because I still have my apartment in Charlotte. I'm still a citizen. I'm a resident of North Carolina. I'm still paying North Carolina taxes. So I want to be able to buy me a house, and I want to live in Charlotte. Another thing about Texas is it's just not my speed. I'm staying in Waco right now, and it is very slow. I have been going to like Dallas, Arlington, but it's just the temperature in Texas, the sun, it's not green like it is in North Carolina. It's no trees like it is in North Carolina. Like, I love North Carolina. I love North Carolina. I love the people in North Carolina. My friends are in North Carolina. And I really, you know, if it's in God's will for my life, I want to build me a house in North Carolina next year. And I'm really trying to save my coins so I can build me a house, y'all, because I remember last year sitting down and talking to you guys about how I was about to start my residency, and I was going to do my residency for a year, and I was going to try to become a travel nurse after I did my residency. And I did that. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. So I want to put forth that same consistency, show that myself that same love, show God that same gratitude, show my family that same love that got me to the place that I am today, so I can just continue to get better and go up and strive for more. So yes, I think that's a pretty good update. I hope that I made all of my points. Oh, y'all, look at my journal. I got it from Target. She looked just like me, y'all. Y'all know I be wearing my hair wraps or whatever. But I hope that you guys, you know, I hope that guys, you got a good update. And if there are any questions that you guys have as far as like me, nursing, travel nursing, anything, please leave them down below. I'm going to try to be more consistent with the videos. No promises though. And yeah, so another thing, since I've been here in Texas, I did get me a gym membership, so that's why I got this whole sports bra and everything on, because I'm gonna go to the gym. I had tried CrossFit for the first time yesterday, so I'm gonna go back and do CrossFit again. I really like it. I really think that if I do it 3 to 5 times a week, I will see results. So next summer I will be buying me a house, and I will be in my bikini on the beach somewhere, hopefully, if C19, you know, doesn't take over again. But anyway, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope that I didn't ramble too much, and I hope you guys take something from this. Again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. If you don't remember, my name is Lanice, and I am here. Oh no, and I'm leaving. That's what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I'm really supposed to be leaving right now. So this is the outro. So peace.